Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Simon Timpley from the International Food Safety and Quality Network, and we're back again after missing last week with edition 15 of Food Safety Fridays. It's good to be back. Today we have Dr. Yasser Mustafa Mohammed. He's Quality Assurance Manager at Al Yasra Foods in Kuwait. Today, Dr. Yasser is going to be talking about the difference between organic and non-organic food. So more related to food quality, perhaps, than to food safety, but another great topic to add to the series. Throughout the year, as you know, they're free to attend these webinars, and that's thanks to our sponsors, as you can see there on the right-hand side, IFS, Safe Food 360, FSSC, and Trace Analytics. They help us to deliver these each week for you, so thanks very much to our kind sponsors. Today's webinar is being recorded. You will get the slides and a recording of the video and the certificate a couple of days after, so please do bear that in mind. I can see we have Yasser online with us now. Hi Yasser, how are you doing? Nice to see you.
Hello Simon. Yeah, hello Simon, how are you? Fine, good.
I'm very good. We're really looking forward to your presentation. I've seen your PowerPoint and it's really, really very good. So I'm sure the audience will really enjoy that. So yeah. I believe, what's the temperature today in Kuwait?
It's almost now 48 degrees, which is a little bit hot. Yeah. But we are still on the beginning of summer season.
Yeah. Yeah, Yasser was telling me that it gets up to 60 degrees, so it's actually not that very hot really for you today, is it? 48. It's quite cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, yeah, so while you get your PowerPoint ready, I'll talk about next week's webinar. Okay, I'll see you in a few seconds. Okay, we really look forward to Yasser's presentation in a few moments. Next week we have Steve Gruler, who has presented a couple of times with us during this series in 2015. Steve's going to be talking about comprehensive risk evaluation and the impacts on brand risk mitigation, the risk of not carrying out a comprehensive, let's say, risk assessment. So we'll look forward to that and getting some tips off Steve next week. In the sidebar, in the pop-ins tab, you'll be able to register for that webinar directly today. So if you go over to the right-hand side, click in the pop-ins tab, you can sign up today for next week's webinar, and it will be next Friday. Today, as well, after you've done that, we are running a poll, a simple poll. If you go to the poll tab, as we said, today's presentation is about the difference between organic and non-organic food. So the poll question is, do you know the difference between organic and non-organic food? Yes or no? I'm going to answer no. I've got a rough idea, but I don't really know. Hopefully by the end of today, I will know. So please answer that poll question in the polls tab, and we will read the results out at the end and just clarify, then cross-check, have we achieved our objective of today. Okay. That's it, I think. So I can see Yasser is ready. So I'll head over to Yasser for his PowerPoint, and I'll be back for the Q&A afterwards. Thank you. Okay, Yasser.
All right. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yasser Mustafa. I'm a Quality Assurance Manager in Al Yasra Food Company in Kuwait. I worked as an Quality and Food Safety Management Consultant in many industries and many food safety industries. Like Americana, like in Saudi, in Egypt. So I qualify almost more than 90 business or 90 companies for getting the food safety and quality systems like the HACCP, ISO 22, FSSC, and also 9000, 14, 18000. Today, our topic is related to the organic and non-organic food, because almost now until now, there is a big debate on this topic, especially, and a lot of research and a lot of studies. And till now, many people, they are confused. What is the difference actually between the organic and non-organic food? Our contents today for this seminar, it will be introduction first, then we can talk about the organic foods, what's meaning of it as a definition, the benefits for the organic food, and also we need to know the difference between the organic and non-organic produce. We will take some brief summary on the pesticides, chemicals, fertilizers, hormones, and also antibiotics. Then we can go back again to another difference between organic and non-organic for the meat and dairy, and what is the quality differences between the organic and conventional food, and if the organic food is really safer than conventionally. This is we need to know, and also we need to check the label, which is very important for any consumers to see if it is organically produced or organically manufactured or not. And finally, we have a conclusion for all of these studies that we can mention on the presentation. The lot of news every day we can relate it to organic and non-organic through many media, starting by the debate if it is safer, if it is more healthy, more nutrition or not. So it's like a big confusion and big debate right now on this topic. Until now, it's not yet finalized, or it's not yet defined actually. Now we need to know the current issues for organic versus non-organic. Is organic food is really healthier? This is we need to know actually. It's a more nutritious or highly nutritious. And what is the quality difference between the organic and non-organic? And is the organic is better for the environment, or it's the same for conventional food? And what are the labels meaning? Because many times we can see organic labels like natural labels, free natural or free GMO labels, whatever. So we need to know actually what's meaning of these labels and why it's so expensive for the organic food. We'll start now by the definition for the organic food. But before we start for this definition, we need to define the quality of food. The quality of any food, it should be have three main characteristics. First, it should be lack of disease-causing organisms or naturally occurring chemicals. Definitely, we need to have a safe food. That's to keep our health in a safe mode. And also, it should have adding value to our health or more nutritional facts. And also, it should be tasty. Finally, it will satisfy our needs and requirements for our health. For the organic food, first, the food that we choose to eat can help in prevention for our for many illness and also increasing our quality of life. The main reasons for some people they are going directly to consume organic foods. There are main three reasons. First, the people they think that we have only little or no pesticide residues found on the produce itself, on the vegetables or fruits. Also, some people they are more interested on the environment, so they are finding that the organic foods itself, as a manufacturing or industry, have a negative impact on the environment itself. And the last one is the people also they believe that organic foods have high level of nutrients like vitamins, minerals, which is more healthier than the non-organic food. What does the term for organic food mean? As per the USDA definition, organic food are defined as those foods that are grown without the use of synthetic fertilizers, sewage sludge, irrigation, genetic engineering, pesticides, or drugs. So all of this, it should be free from all of this. Finally, to define that's a really pure organic 100% food. What does organic foods mean? Organic food is a product for a farming system that uses natural and regenerative process. It's very important because it's a very strict farming system, and it should have many processes like crop rotation, animal and plant manuring, mechanical weeding, biological pest control. That's in order to not add any chemicals or any pesticides or fertilizers, and finally to produce the organic food. It refrains from the use of any toxic chemicals. In organic farming, no artificial fertilizers, no synthetic pesticides, genetic modified organisms. It should be free. No growth regulators mostly for the animals production or animals raising. Also, no artificial feed additives. No antibiotics are are not preventively used on the animals. So in case that we need to have some like an animal farms, so definitely if there is any disease or anything, so we need to add an antibiotic to it. But for the organic animals farming or organic animals production, it should not add any antibiotics or any growth hormones at all. Why organic? The mission for agriculture is not only to produce enough food, but also to take account the effects to the environment, which is very important because our environment is now in a high risk because of a lot of chemicals, a lot of toxins it can add to the environment. So it make a high negative impact pollution for our environment. And the human health, definitely we need to have a safe food without any chemicals or without any pesticides, animal welfare, and finally social and regional development. The benefits for organic food, there are a lot of benefits of organic foods. We can start by the biodiversity, which we have a positive effect to the biodiversity. Why we can mention like this? Because in case that we are adding any chemicals or we are using any pesticides, it can harm the beneficial and non-beneficial insects or whatever the microorganism or any organism or any living organism. So finally, it will harm the whole planet or is the whole organism, living organism. So the positive effect to the biodiversity is very important, and it's one of the main important benefits for organic food. Also, the fewer contaminants such as pesticides, antibiotics, and nitrates. Definitely, we are not using all of this during farming. Organic foods also have more beneficial nutrients such as antioxidants, which is more or higher in level than the conventionally grown food itself. Organic food is often fresher, definitely, because there is no any preservatives or any chemicals. Also, organic farming is better for the environment with less impact on the environment itself. And organically raised animals are not giving antibiotics, growth hormones, or fed animal byproducts. Problems for intensive farming. Now, most of the countries, they are trying to use this intensive farming in order to satisfy all the population growth and also to satisfy all the people that they are living in each country. And also it's due to the high rate growth of population, then this many governments, they start to use this intensive farming and they start to use the pesticides in a massive way, which it lead to have a pesticide residues in product, soil, water. And also they are using fertilizers, which is lead to eutrophication. Eutrophication is meaning that we are using high fertilizers rate, then finally it will have a high green area, especially on the water itself, which is extract all the oxygen, which finally lead to high death rate of fishes itself or aqua marine organisms. Loss of biodiversity, as we mentioned before, scales both harmful and beneficial organisms, destroy also the habitations for many species, and degradation of soils lead finally to erosion, and finally lead to landscape changes worldwide or globally. There are 4 different types of organic as per the USDA definitions and also as per the USDA classification. The first part, which is 100% organic, all ingredients in the food must be organic. It means that in case even that we are putting some food additives or any non-main ingredients for the food component itself, it should be 100% organic, which is also a high expensive and it's not easily to find it in the market also for many items. So this is what we call 100% organic. The second part, which is the organic, and it contain only must be contain 95% of the ingredients, organic products, and this is more common in the market itself, and it will be cheaper than the 100% organic, definitely. And also the third type, which is made with organic ingredients, must contain 70% organic products. It's also common, but most of the people, they like only the organic label. And we have the fourth one, the less than 70% organic ingredients. And we cannot find it most in the market. It's very rare we can find, because most of the people, they are going to the organic food itself. So this is very important that we need to know these classifications in order to finally have a point of view for our organic products when we are going to consume or going to buy in itself. For the USDA, US Department for Agriculture organic standards, it should not adding any antibiotics, no growth hormones, animals raised on organic feed, and farmed without pesticides or herbicides at all, farmed without synthetic fertilizers. This is very, very important rules and mandatory requirements in order to be certified from USDA as an organic products. We have now a difference between the organic food versus non-organic produce, and it's like a small comparison table between these two types of food. The organic produce here is definitely should be grown with natural fertilizers, manure, and composite. Regarding the conventionally grown produce, it should be grown with a synthetic or chemical fertilizers, whatever. And for organic produce, weeds are controlled naturally through crop rotation, hand weeding, mechanical mulching, and tilling. And for the conventionally grown produce, weeds are controlled with chemical herbicides, which is more easier and less cost, and also it can do it in a very fast way without having any additional cost. And for the organic produce, insects are controlled using natural methods like birds, good insects, traps. And for the conventionally gross produce, insecticides are used to manage pests and disease. So the pesticides or insecticides they are using in a massive way in order to finally control all the insects or any disease in the plant itself. We'll now give some brief about the pesticides, which is the main common risk for any non-organic food or any conventional food. Pesticides are chemical or control agents made to kill insects, weeds, and fungal pests that damage crops. This is very important because now many companies are using a lot of pesticides, and we are getting more resistance for this pesticides. So definitely they are getting more and more pesticides components with some like a technical change on the pesticides itself to in order to control the weeds or insects and fungal pests inside the crop itself. In large amounts, this have been found to cause different illness, including cancer, definitely, because we have this pesticide residues, which is finally accumulated on our liver. So finally, it can lead to cancer as a carcinogenic material. However, organically grown foods don't necessarily mean toxin-free. We will see later what's meaning of organic can also have some toxin-free and also can also contain some toxins. In some slides later we'll see. For pesky pesticides, which is the most dangerous, the most risky, we have around over than 400 chemicals are used to kill pests and weeds. Pesticides implicated in cancer, specifically the breast cancer, male infertility, and Parkinson's disease, which is the three main common causes for the pesticides accumulation on our organisms. On organs. Pesticides every year in in Europe countries, around 200,000 tons of pesticides are taken to environment itself. Why? Because definitely we need to have this intensive farming. So we are adding all of these pesticides to our farms, and finally it can go direct to the land itself, which it finally have a negative impact to the environment itself. In the last 10 years, the amounts have doubled, which is very high. And most of the pesticides in the top 10 of residues in EU have been declared dangerous to human health by World Health Organization. In many cases, there are dangerous both to health and environment, like for our water, soil, air pollution, negative impact to birds, bees, fish, insects. So it's only it's have dual effect on the human health and environment itself. Also, the pesticide possible effects like poisonings, allergies, headache, impact on fetus, genetic changes, and also negative impact on hormonal system and reproductive organs. This is something what we call a hidden diseases or hidden impacts that cannot be detected directly from the pesticides, but through the long time of consuming products with pesticides residue, we can find such disease or such problems for the health. The co-effects for pesticides are also unknown due to cocktail effects. The effect of many pesticides could double or triple because it's not only one type of pesticide. So definitely there are a lot of pesticides used. So we'll have many effects on our human health. And it's not easy to detect it also because of this cocktail effect. Pesticide residue with certain molecule mass can accumulate in liver, bones, fat tissue. This is the main three parts for our organs that can be accumulated from the product itself, which we have a high pesticide residue. Even in the animals itself also, you can find the liver, bones, fat tissue. This is the highest part of the animal's organs that can have an accumulation for pesticides. New pesticides are being taken to use all the time, while the old ones still remain in the environment because it's not easily to be degraded, or it's not easy to be decreased or removed from the environment. It's like a long-term staining or standing on the environment itself. Pesticides and toxins in the food. Only 3% organic foods with detectable pesticide residues. And compared to the conventional 48%. It's very high in conventional food, but in organic food only 3%. And sometimes the almost 53 to 95% residues remain after washing. It's meaning that some people, they think that after washing our fruits or vegetables, so definitely we'll remove the pesticides. Some types of pesticide can still be stacked directly to the food produce itself, which is not easily removed by washing itself, and can be multiple residues because many pesticides are used there. For the hormones and antibiotics, it's definitely used for the animal production. So it causes antibacterial resistance in humans because we have more and more residues from the antibiotics itself, and also may increase exposure to mad cow disease, which is related to the bovine spongiform encephalopathy. Naturally occurring toxins in foods. There are a lot of toxins which is naturally it can found in the food itself, like oxalic acid in spinach, charred big greens, rhubarb leaves can be also have a problem for the or can lead to having kidney stones for our human health. And also we can find the glycoalkaloids in potatoes like green. You can find sometimes the potatoes with some green areas or spots which is containing solanine, which is also can make problem for our human health. And again, we'll go to the comparison between organic versus non-organic meat and dairy, which is also very important. Now we can find in the market also some organic chicken, some organic beef meat, especially we can find it from Australia also, some organic sheep meat. So it's come now in a high rate for raising and for growing some organic live animals in order to have a better health for for the human itself. For organic meat and dairy, we can find that no antibiotics at all, hormones or pesticides are given to animals. For conventionally, definitely they are using antibiotics, hormones, and feed grown with pesticides. Also for organic meat and dairy, livestock are given all organic feed. It's very important. It's not to just only without any antibiotics or hormones. No, also the feed itself should be 100% organic. Conventionally, definitely livestock can give growth hormones for faster growth. For organic meat, disease is prevented with natural methods like housing, cleaning, rotational grazing, and a healthy diet. For conventionally raised meat and dairy, antibiotics and medications are used to prevent livestock diseases. And finally, livestock and milking cows must graze on pasture for at least 4 months a year, while chicken must have freedom of movement, fresh air, direct sunlight, and access to the outside. Related to conventionally, livestock may or may not have access to the outdoors. So it's like what we are calling now a free range products, which is definitely, it can be part of the organic system for meat and dairy. Now we are going to the quality differences between organic and non-organic food, which is very important. We need all together to know. First, we need to define the quality difference between organic and non-organic. It's very difficult because of differing values people assign to quality when it comes to food. So many people, they have some certain characteristic for high quality food. Some other people, they think, no, I need to have some other attributes on the food itself. That's why it's not easy to have this definition. First on it, well, if there is any individual attribute, low environment impact, minimal additives and synthetic substance use, as well as stricter regulation of farming practices, with greater quality in the food you eat, then organic products will be probably synergistic. So some people, they think about the environment, they think about the synthetic additives or any chemicals they are using during this production for food. So definitely they would probably like the organic itself. Some other people, they think that they need only a high product consistency with greater and perfect physical characteristics and with a high quality in food you eat. Then organic is definitely is not a higher quality product to the customer or to this person. Regarding also the people, they think about the nutrition effects for the organic products. Some people definitely believe that the organic are nutritionally higher or superior to non-organic products. We need to also understand some recent studies which shows that the nutrition difference between organic and non-organic are generally minuscule. It's very small. Also, the research on that topic is still on progress or ongoing. So the people, they have some like misunderstand that they think that the organic food, it's a high nutritional effect than the non-organic. But till now, the studies mention that it's only very few differences between the nutrition rate on the organic and non-organic. For the food additives and antibiotics, it's very important. Why? Because it's like what we call a hidden chemicals. It's found there in the food itself. As per USDA, organically produced food must be produced without the use of antibiotics, as we mentioned before, artificial growth hormones, high fructose corn syrup, artificial dyes made from coltan and petrochemicals, artificial sweeteners, synthetic created chemical pesticides and fertilizers, and genetically engineered protein and ingredients, which is what we call genetically modified organisms, sewage sludge, and irradiation. So this is what is this is a part of the organic produced food system as per USDA regulations. Also, according to USDA, there are a lot of added ingredients are actually can be a problem or can be some like an hidden ingredients that no one can actually focus on it. So it differentiates between the organic and non-organic, and this is what we call also can increase the cost of the product itself. This little attention or analysis was given to these additives or their collective impacts on human health, and also little discussion of the insecticidal toxins produced by genetic engineered corn plant. A little measure also for the added growth hormones used in conventional dairy. What I found there over the research and studies there, that very few studies mentioned or focus on the added growth hormones in dairy products and also for the additives, which gives sometimes a feeling that it's like a business. And definitely the companies, they don't want to lose their business, so they are make a pressure to not have such more studies for such areas. Measure of the fact that 80% of the antibiotics used today are used on chicken, beef, and animals that we eat. So this is what we found finally. It can lead to an antibacterial resistance on the human itself. For the also little discussion of what the cumulative impacts of this ingredient not allowed in organic food production are having on the health of our families, our children, our country. As I mentioned before, most of the research and studies, it can be funded. It's funded actually by private companies. So most of the private companies, they don't like to have such studies in order to run smoothly their business for such chemicals or fertilizer or pesticides. Also, there is no mention of the impact of these chemicals are having on the food safety system itself, and no mention of the growing concern of their impact on bees and butterflies. Okay, now we have a more important topic. What we need actually to know it's organic food is safer than conventionally grown food. Yani it's most of the people, they think that it definitely is safer and higher nutrition value, and it's higher in quality, higher in safety. So as per some researches that's happened there, they found that organically grown foods are safer than conventional grown foods. So it's a very short and very brief answer. An analysis of 37 research studies that looked at organically grown produce and conventionally grown produce found that there was little evidence that conventional grown foods were a higher health risk than organically grown products. It's very important to know because also there is a regulation for the conventionally grown foods, and it should be acceptable as per the regulations and as per the government requirements. So definitely it should be also safe for human consumption. So organic foods, again, it's safer than conventionally. Some researchers found that organic produce a 30% lower risk of pesticides contamination than conventionally growing fruits and vegetables. Organic foods are not necessarily 100% free of pesticides. Definitely, you cannot produce organic foods without even small, minute pesticides residues, because even if you cannot put it directly, you can take it direct from the land itself during farming or during raising. Furthermore, the research also stated that the pesticide level for all foods mostly fell within the allowable safety limits that have been set by the government. So in case that the people, they think that we are eating food or fruits, vegetables with a high pesticide level, definitely it's not right, because it's still on the safe line or on the allowable limit for the government regulation itself. So finally, it will be safe for consuming such food or such products with pesticides residue. Okay, so organic foods also have strict rules concerning the amount of natural contaminants allowed for safe consumption. That's why it's not an easy system, and it's not an easy process to produce an organic food. There are a lot of requirements, starting, as we mentioned there, by the land itself, the crop, any additives or any pesticide or any chemicals should be at all not added to such system. It has also been found that this food only contains small levels of these contaminants, even after this strict organic management system. Finally, also you can find some small levels of these contaminants. Whether choosing organic or non-organic foods, experts agree that the best way to safeguard ourselves is to thoroughly rinse all fruits and vegetables under running water. We mentioned also before that some pesticides, it's a very heavy or to remove it or to erase it during washing. But again, this is a very simple way that anyone can use it in order to finally be safeguarded for the non-organic foods. Items with inedible skins should be washed, like cantaloupes and melons, because cutting the rinds itself with a knife can bring contaminants from the rind into the produce. It's meaning that we should not have such contamination during cutting. So definitely we need to wash it in a very thoroughly way and very also strictly way. Okay, so the second part, which is very important, it's organic foods more nutritious or high nutrition than a non-organic food. It's a very important question. So as per the popularity of consuming organic foods has grown, several studies have compared the nutritional quality of food conventionally grown versus organically grown. So most of the recent studies, they mention directly that the nutritionally the conventionally grown foods and organically have no significant overall differences in the nutritional quality itself. So after the lot of recent studies, finally it's only very small significance or very small difference between the nutrition facts of the organic and non-organic foods. We can found it also in this slide. Still, the answer is not yet clear. They have some confusion, but recent study examined that past 50 years worth of scientific articles about the nutrient content of organic and conventional food. The researchers concluded that organically and conventionally produced food are comparable in their nutrient content, and such research is still ongoing or in process or in progress. So we found there the taste and appearance for the organic and non-organic food. The information from the studies below also shows that no significant flavor between organically grown and conventionally grown foods. And I will give one example about the eggs itself, because sometimes you can find normal table eggs and organic eggs. So some people, they think that the organic eggs is more tasty than the normal eggs, but as per the studies, there is no significant flavor, but it may be like a perception that because of its organic product, so definitely to be more tasty and more flavor rather than the non-organic food. Also, instead, the taste difference appeared to come from the food variety, its growing condition, and its maturity and harvest time. Unlike the past, most of today's organic foods compare very favorably in appearance with conventionally grown foods. So, to organic natural, because some people they found some labels which is natural, grown 100% food, so they will say that this is an organic food. The answer is definitely no, because natural and organic are not interchangeable terms. It's two different terms at all, because sometimes we can see the natural and such other terms like all natural, free range, or hormone free on food. So we are thinking that this is all organic, naturally food, which is not right. It can have some confusion. And only foods that are grown and processed according to USDA organic standards can be labeled only organic. So there is two different labels and two different terms and definitions between the organic and natural. Natural can be organic or can be non-organic, but organic definitely it should be a natural 100% food, and it should be labeled organic food as per the USDA requirements. For the comparison between the organic versus the natural, we can find there the organic toxic resistant pesticides is not allowed. In natural, it's allowed. Genetic modified organism in organic is not allowed. In natural, it's allowed. Antibiotics is not allowed in organic. Definitely in natural it can be. Growth hormones also. Sludge and irradiation is not allowed, but it's allowed in the natural. For animal welfare requirements, this is a part of the requirements for the organic management system. It should be there as in the organic system, but in natural it's not be. Cows required to be on pasture for pasture season, and lower levels of environment pollutions, audit trail certification, and legal restrictions on allowable materials. All of this, it can be found in the organic management system, but in natural system, it's not mandatory or it's not necessary. So there is a big difference between the organic and the natural food. For the organic or not, we need to give some brief about the label itself. As per the National Organic Program, it should be ensured that the production, processing, certification of organic food match a comprehensive standard and must abide by certain labeling standards. First part is a 100% organic. No single synthetic ingredients are allowed by law. And our USDA organic seal is on this product. So this is the highest and the strict system for the organic. And this also is the highest cost for the organic food. The second label, we can find the organic itself. So when we can find any food which we have only organic, so at least the minimum is it should be ingredient 95% are organically produced. So this is as per the USDA requirements. The type for the labels made with organic ingredients, at least 70% of ingredients are organic. The other 30 are from non-organic or conventional products. Natural or all natural, as we mentioned, there's a big difference between organic and natural. So doesn't mean that organic. This label apply to meat and poultry products, which may not contain any artificial flavoring, colors, chemical preservatives, or synthetic ingredients. So why the organic food is more expensive than the non-organic or conventional food? Definitely because no chemicals, so more labor. Because who will do the mechanical weeding? Who will do the mechanical pest control system? So it will need more labor. Demand overwhelms supply. Higher cost of fertilizer for organic crops and crop rotation. All of this, it will be higher cost than the non-organic. Post-harvest handling costs, organic certification, cost of covering higher loss, and better living conditions for livestock, which is all costly. Organic food grows more slowly, and subsidies from government. There is no too much funds, or there is no any a supply or like a support from the government related to the organic food itself. For the conclusion, there is some studies from Stanford University, which is meta-analysis. It's around 237 studies comparing organically versus conventionally grown foods. There were little difference between the two. For example, there were no consistent difference in the amount of vitamins level of organic foods, and only one nutrient, phosphorus, was significantly higher in organic versus conventionally grown produce. Actually, this studies is it's a very surprise even for me, because it's completely changed my mentality related, or my perception related to the organic versus non-organic. But still, again, the studies is ongoing. It's not the final studies, but I just share this Stanford University studies because this is the most recent studies now, and it contains almost 237 studies related to such topic. Again, there was also no difference in protein or fat content between organic and conventionally milk. Through evidence from few studies suggests that organic milk may contain higher level of omega-3 fatty acids. So even the milk itself, we can find only a significant change for the omega-3, but the protein or fat content is still the same with the non-organic food or non-organic milk. Even though research found that organic produce have a 30% lower risk of pesticide, as we mentioned before, than conventional fruits and vegetables, organic foods are not necessarily 100% free of pesticides. Again, because of the land pollution, because of the air pollution, water. So some problems it can be faced for the farmers to again have a 100% free of pesticides because something it can be out of their hands. So definitely it finally have some residues on their produce. Another interesting fact that the pesticide level in both groups generally fail within the allowable safety limits. So as I mentioned before, finally organic or non-organic or any kind of food, it should be on the safety limits of the pesticides which is allowed by the government, which is also safe for human consumption. Some food safety tips we can mention there. We need to first select a variety of foods from a variety of sources. This will give us a better mix of nutrients, reduce our likelihood of exposure to a single pesticide. Buy fruits and vegetables in season when possible. It's very important to get the freshest produce, and also to check through also by checking our local farmers market. Again, we need to read carefully the food labels. We have now 4 types, as we mentioned before. The organic, which is 100% organic. 100% organic. The second type is organic, which is 95%. And we have also the 75, and finally the natural one. Wash and scrub fresh fruits and vegetables thoroughly under running water. It's very, very important. So we need to wash carefully, remove the dirt, bacteria, traces of chemicals from the surface of fruits and vegetables. Not all pesticide residues can be removed by washing. This is very simple. So you can also peel fruits and vegetables, but peeling can mean losing some fibers and nutrients. So we are in a like a challenge, either to remove the pesticides or chemical residues, then you lose also some fiber and nutrients, or you can take some of it, but you'll keep the fiber and nutrients on the fruit itself. This is the slight difference between the dirty toxin, because there is two types of vegetables and fruits. They are using massive pesticide on it. So for the dirty dozen, you can find there the highest rate of pesticides, which we should buy organic if possible, like apples, bell peppers, blueberries, celery, cucumbers, grapes, lettuce, nectarines, peaches, potatoes, spinach, strawberries, and green beans, kale greens. So for the clean one, which is less risk for the pesticides, and we can use the non-organic or conventionally food, like asparagus, avocado, cabbage, cantaloupe, corn, eggplant, grapefruit, kiwi, mangoes, mushrooms, onions, pineapples, sweet peas, and sweet potatoes, and finally the watermelon. Finally, everyone from this presentation, he should know exactly the difference between the organic and non-organic food, and it's depend on, as I mentioned before, on your quality attribute and your quality perception, and finally it will add value to your human health and to your health areas related to every consumer itself. So this is the end for my presentation today. So in case that you have any questions or...
Fabulous.
Okay. Right.
That's great, that Yasser. That was absolutely fabulous. An excellent presentation. Question to you.
Yeah.
So do you buy organic?
I'm buying organic for some food, not all, especially apple. As we mentioned, there's a 30,000, but it's so expensive, I know. But I try now to change my style of consumption there. It's not for all my food, definitely.
No, so I mean, I feel like I feel a bit ill now. I feel like I'm full of pesticides because I eat most of those on the dirty dozen side, and I must be full of pesticides because, to be honest with you, sometimes I don't even wash an apple. It's very bad. It's not
it's
good.
very important, very important, because especially the apple, there is also wax materials, so we need at least to remove these wax materials on the apple itself.
So am I right to say then, Yasser, that in terms of the nutritional value of organic versus non-organic, the evidence gathered says that there isn't much benefit, but in terms of things like the use of growth hormones, pesticides, etc., chemicals to feed up production, etc., and speed up production, that's the bigger benefit.
Yes, right, definitely, because as we mentioned there, most of the studies is related to the pesticides and chemicals added itself. But again, for the nutrition value, it can found the same. But this pesticides and chemicals can harm finally the health itself, which is what's meaning that I have something which is the same nutrition value, but finally it will harm through the pesticides and chemicals. It's no meaning on this. Yeah.
Okay, you can stop sharing your screen now, Yasser. So really then, I mean, we focus a lot on food safety, and food safety, if you don't get food safety right, there are sort of immediate negative effects, short-term effects. You can be ill, in the worst case scenario, you could die food poisoning. But food quality and things like organic, etc., that's more a long-term effect on your health, isn't it? So I've never really concerned myself, and I think a lot of people focus on food safety, sort of the immediate ill effects, rather than the long-term effects of eating poor quality pesticide rammed food. So it's thought-provoking that. You can, if you stop sharing your screen now, Yasser.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I've got there are lots of questions coming in, so I will read some of them out. You in the presentation, the big four, the definitions of the the 4 100% organic, etc. They're from USDA. Is there a European equivalent to that?
It's all the same like European standards, the same like also the USDA standards. So it's like a common international labeling for organic. So it's all the same.
Okay, okay. Somebody asked just a simple question. What does bio mean? I think on one of your slides it said bio. It was just asking what does bio mean?
It's related to the biodiversity, or I think we have this bio. It's a biodiversity, as we mentioned there. It's a living organism. It should be multiple on our planet itself, on our Earth. So and it should be in a high diversity rate. So in case that we are using such chemicals or pesticides and all of this, it can harm this beneficial microorganism or beneficial organism itself.
Yeah, so it's upsetting the balance of nature.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just one question. We've got a growing population. Huge population around the world. Some poorer regions where even growing food full stop is difficult. Never mind organic. I mean, is it really possible to feed the world with organic food?
Yeah, this question actually, it's many times some people they ask me this question, because some people they think that yes, there are a lot of people, poor countries, they don't have at all food, and we are focusing on organic food. So how we can focus for such topic, and we are living these poor areas. Actually, the main concern is, as I mentioned before, we need to have more studies, more research on the organic food. We need to change the culture of raising conventionally to the organic food itself. Finally, we will get also more the same like volume of the conventional food, but in case that we are following all the systems strictly. So it's not it's possible, and it's not possible at all, but with more research and more studies on this.
Yeah, on things like safer pesticides and things like that, maybe.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, it's a part of the culture itself. So in case that the government and the farmers they really insist to have this organic farm, so why they cannot change? They can change, and if it is high costs, they need to make more research and more practical solutions finally to get the organic with the same cost of the conventional food itself.
Yeah, great. Okay, some questions from the attendees. Amy was asking if, let's say, the product is an organic, a drink or a dressing that's got, let's say, 95% water. Do you do the calculation with the water in or the water out when you calculate?
No, we are mentioning there the ingredients, which is what we call solids or semi-solid. But the water itself, it's not a part of the ingredients. Like if it is, we have canned food with drained weight and with a net weight. So we are calculating on the drained weight itself. We are removing all the solution or whatever the water itself, and we are calculating from the ingredient itself.
Okay.
Because we don't have what we call organic and non-organic water.
Okay. Anna's also asked, what are the long-term studies regarding the use of pesticides on risk for cancers and other chronic diseases? Is there any large-scale studies on the health effects of pesticides? Do you know?
As I mentioned there on my presentation, actually, which I felt really, there are big pressure from the problems for the research and studies need a high fund. It's not easy. So government, they are not giving this fund to the researchers or the laboratories to do these studies. So this fund, it came from the private companies. And the private companies, they don't want to make more studies related to the pesticides or additives or chemicals. Finally, it's like kind of business for them. So they don't want to open a door for them that's finally to lose the business at the end itself. So this is the main problems that we are facing right now in this organic topic here.
Okay. Farah's asking, what about baby foods that are labeled? Do the same regulations apply relating to organic for baby foods?
For baby food, it's the same. It should be one of the four types, either to be 100% organic, or to be organic, or 75% or natural. So definitely, we should also go for the 100% organic, which is to be more safe for our baby, because they don't have this immunity system, still not yet mature. And also, we don't want to feed them insecticides or pesticides from their health. So we need to go for the 100% organic as soon as we can.
Okay. Another question, Yasser, there's lots of questions. Sharon's asked, how can pesticide contamination of organic produce come from the land on which organic foods are grown? She said that she thought that the land had to be declared organic as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, but the main problem there, as we mentioned before, that the land, we cannot get it to pure 100% free from pesticides. Why? Because the pesticides, it's a long-term effect itself. So it can be go in deeply to the land itself, and which will contaminate more and more down for the layers of the land itself. So finally, it's not easy to remove the first layer or the second layer like this.
Actually, one of the attendees, Stefan, said soil should be 36 months from the last application of a pesticide, so of an unauthorized substance. So is that correct? That this should be?
Yeah. Actually, there is some organic system. What they are doing, they are living for at least maybe 2 years or 3 years, whatever, without any raising at all, in order to get easily removal of this pesticides residues. It's like a natural removal of the pesticides, but finally it will cost, because they are not using this land also.
Yeah, and also some of the members have mentioned, cross-contamination from nearby farms, that are non-organic, maybe airborne contamination or waterborne contamination as well.
Yes, definitely. It can be from air or from water itself, contamination. So when we need to, that's why we mentioned that we cannot find 100% free pesticides products, because it can come easily from air or from water, from any source. So you cannot full control for all of these natural resources that you can come to the organic farm itself.
Yeah. When you mentioned the term natural, which is at the bottom end of it's rather dubious, natural. What does natural mean? It's like a marketing tool more than anything else. Is that an actually defined, agreed USDA term, natural? Is it allowed?
Natural. It's like for mostly for the animals and for the poultry itself. It can be mentioned. Like for the free range on the outdoor activities, like what it can be found there without any cage farms, or without any some like indoor farms. So most probably they are talking about the free range itself, and also they are using the same antibiotics, pesticides, and all of this. It's not the same like what we mentioned in the organic. So we need to be clear between the difference between the organic and natural food itself.
Right. Okay. Jesus it's made a comment. I will disagree with the statement that there is no significant difference in nutritional content in organic versus conventional. Having analysed both, it's quite scary, the pesticides and other synthetic chemical residues in our food. Also, most studies hold difference at 5%. So he disagrees.
Regarding the studies for the nutrition difference between the organic and non-organic, as I mentioned, there are some recent studies. They mentioned that there is a small difference, but again, this studies is not finally. There is an ongoing studies, but the main studies that we found it now, they mentioned that only few difference between organic and non-organic on the nutrition itself.
Right. Okay. And the levels of pesticides that are allowed, there are legal limits.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are a lot of limits and requirements. There is an USDA limits and also Codex Alimentarius, which is global limits for the pesticides residues. It's like the main reference for the pesticides residues. And also there is a European limits also, standard limits for the pesticides.
Yeah. Okay. Another one, Sharon, what about post-harvest handling? What detergents and sanitizers are considered suitable for organic foods?
For detergent and sanitizer, did you mean that to wash our organic food, or what did you mean?
I think so, yeah, for washing, but
No,
maybe
for washing.
yeah.
No, yeah, for washing it's only by water. You are not using any detergent or sanitizers. Only maybe if you want to remove the bacteria for the fresh produce. But related to pesticides, we need only by water and the running water, washing carefully to remove at least most of the pesticide chemicals, or to also remove the skin, especially for the dirty doses that we mentioned in the last slide.
Well, the questions keep on coming through. Krishnan, sorry for putting you under so much pressure. Krishnan, can you please throw some light on why irradiation is not allowed in organic food production?
Irradiation is it's a part like because you can find there some X-rays or some rays is going directly to the food itself, so it can be like an foreign ingredients rather than the natural ingredient of the food itself. So for organic 100%, it means that you need to have a full natural ingredients. So we don't want any rays or any external factors that come from outside to contaminate or to go inside the ingredient of the food itself.
Right. Okay. Just to say the poll, when we asked at the start, do you know the difference between organic and non-organic? It appears that 100% did not know the difference. Whether that was just me voting, I don't know. But I can guarantee that if we don't know the whole difference, we surely know a lot of differences between organic and non-organic. I certainly do.
Yeah.
Take home tips for me are definitely I'm going to look back at those dirty dozen and the other ones and make sure that I handle, wash, scrub, peel, and even doing that is surely reducing exposure to substances and things, which is useful.
Actually,
let's just go on. Sorry.
Yeah, actually, my presentation today, it's there is two main important points. First, we know now what is the difference between organic and non-organic, and what is the risk that we have it, like the pesticides, chemicals, growth hormones, and antibiotics. And the second point, if it is safer and highly nutritious than the non-organic one or not. This is also very important point. So this is the two main points that we need to consider from my presentation, actually.
Okay, that's fantastic.